Smiths. Today I'm going to show you how to use our drill. This is the drill that we use. It's a miniature drill press. So if you've ever used a drill press before, you know how to use this. We use the drill for two purposes. Well, we use it for one, we drill. But the reason for drilling is twofold. The first reason is to drill holes like this one, which will be used to put a jump ring through to connect this earring to an ear wire or to another piece or another section, so to link things. The second reason we drill is what you're seeing here. So this dark circle will get cut out or pierced. We put a hole in there so that we can feed our saw blade through that hole to cut out this shape inside the piece of metal. The first thing we always talk about in metals when we learn how to do a new technique or use a new tool is safety. So there's a couple things you need to remember about safety on our drill. The first one is that we wear goggles, and I usually tell my students anytime we use a tool in metals, just wear goggles. It's always safer. We wear goggles with a drill because sometimes our bits break. When they break, little pieces of drill bit can fly and hit your eye, and you do not want a drill bit in your eye. The second reason that we wear goggles is that when you drill the metal, you get little metal shavings. See if you can see this. Little metal shavings that spin off your piece of metal, and those can also fly and get you in the eye. So we always wear our goggles. The second thing you need to know about this drill is that it rotates. So it's got a rotary motor. Anytime something rotates, you want to avoid any kind of loose clothing, anything that can get caught in that rotation. So this is really important. If you have hair that is longer than like ear length, you need to tie it back. So my hair is long enough I can put it in ponytails or pigtails. It's tied back, it's out of the way. If you've got really long hair, make sure it's not just a ponytail because that could fall down over your shoulder. If your hair is medium length, you might hairpin it back or use a bandana to hold your hair back. But make sure that hair is secured because if a little bit of your hair gets caught in this, it spins around, it's going to pull your hair out, and that's not good. You also need to make sure that you're not having anything hanging down on clothing. So if you have a sweatshirt with strings, you got to make sure to tuck those strings in. I'm wearing a longer necklace. If I lean forward, that could fall into the drill. So I'm going to take my necklace off and keep myself safe and get it caught on my earring for you, which is a great addition to this video. So make sure you're safe. I want to orient you to the drill a little bit. This is where you turn the drill on and off. This is how you raise and lower the drill bit itself. We always have a piece of wood underneath the drill so it has something to dig into once it's passed through the metal. There's varied speeds on our drill. You can go really slow to really fast. When you drill, you're always going to use it on the fastest speed. It'll go through the metal the best. It'll be the safest. When you're putting lubricant on, we'll use the lower speed. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to prep your metal. Then I'll show you how to drill. And then sometimes drill bits break, so I'm going to show you how to change a drill bit. The next thing I need to show you to get ready to drill is how to prep your metal. So at this point, we've sanded our metal and glued our templates down. The glue is dry, the Aleene's tacky glue is dry, so we're ready to drill. When you're drilling metal, you have to remember that metal's pretty hard and the drill bit doesn't really want to go through it. So sometimes it'll hit the metal and it kind of go around like this. It's called the drill bit walking. So what we do to help our drill bit avoid that walk is we put a little divot in our metal. To do that, we're going to use an awl, so just a pointy metal tool, and we're going to use a mallet. This is pretty easy to do on our pieces where we're just piercing our holes for jump rings. I'm just going to put the awl right on the little dot that I made for the jump ring. I'm going to make sure it's lined up. If it's not lined up, I'll take a moment to get it back. And then I'm going to take my mallet and I just want to do one whap. That's it. You don't want to hammer it. If you hammer it, sometimes the awl bounces and then you've put little divots all over your metal and it's hard to clean up later. When we put our divots in our pierced sections, and you can see I've already done some drilling on these pieces, you don't want to put the hole right in the middle of the metal. If you put it right in the middle, then you have to saw all the way from the middle to the edge. And you don't want to put it right on the edge of your shape because when you drill it, it'll make a little hole here and it'll look like there's a bite been taken out of your edge. So whenever you drill these pierced shapes, you want it just in from the edge. So I'm going to put my hole here. You can see one here, here, and here. So just in from the edge of the shape. So I'd put that down, I'd line up my awl, and whap. That is all you have to do to prep your metal for drilling. At this point, we're ready to drill, and the first thing I want you to do before you start anything on the drill press is double check your safety. Do you have goggles on? Is your hair tied back? And are you having any loose clothing or jewelry hanging down? If you're not safe, make yourself safe, then go to the next step. When you get to your drill and you're ready to drill, you want to make sure that this drill bit is prepped. We use a lubricant from Rio Grande called Burlife. This one's been used quite a bit. You can tell it's roughed up. If you don't have Burlife, you can use just a crayon, an old crayon that you've recycled. Just that wax is enough. I'm going to remove the block of wood. I'm going to turn the bit on just a little bit so it's way low, and I'm just going to tap that Burlife. You're going to want to reapply the Burlife maybe every 4 or 5 drills. If it's an older bit that's on the dull side, you're going to reapply it a little bit more often. You can tell it's dull because it just doesn't push through the metal quite as easily as it used to. Once you have your drill bit prepped, you're going to take your metal and you want to line the drill up with the divot in your metal. So I'm going to take my drill bit, I'm going to line it up. Okay, that's lined up. I'm going to push down hard because I don't want my metal to move on me. And then I'm going to turn the drill all the way up. Students are always a little anxious about drilling their first time or two. And sometimes because they're anxious, the sound of the drill, I think, triggers that anxiety more, and it's louder and it feels less safe to them. It's actually the safest thing you can do is drill on the highest speed because it's going to pull through the metal much nicer, and you're going to have a better chance of it not getting stuck to the metal. So I'm going to turn it all the way up, and then I push down. I make sure it's lined up as it comes down. Once I get to where the metal is, I just push it through. And you have to use a little force to push it through. Then you're going to turn it off. You're going to take it to the next hole. You're going to line it up. Once it's lined up, you hold tight, turn it on, and again, it's nice and smooth and push through. Nice and smooth, pop through. Turn it all the way up. Nice and smooth, pop through. Once you get better at drilling, you might not turn off and on between each hole. When I drill, and I've done a lot of this in the past, I just move my metal while the drill is on and I line it up as I go. So I'd have my drill on, I would have drilled this hole, then I'm going to pick up my metal, move it to the next hole, I'm going to line it up. Once it's lined up, I'm going to take it and pop through. And I would do that until the holes are all drilled. Okay? So that's how simple drilling is. Nothing to be anxious or worried about. You just take your time. Sometimes as you're drilling, the drill will catch the metal and the metal gets stuck to the drill. If that happens, let go of your metal because you don't want the metal to catch you. And then turn off the drill, and you're just going to kind of unscrew the metal from the bit. Another thing that can happen when you're drilling that might need a fix is your drill bit breaks. If your drill bit breaks, it's really important that you change it, because if you're using a shared drill, when somebody new comes over, they're going to assume that this bit is good, and if you don't change that bit, it's broken, it's going to damage their piece. Changing a bit is pretty easy. You need new bits. We, in our class, when we start off, we use a number 53, 1.51 millimeter. I get this through Rio Grande as well. That's where I get most of my materials. And you need what's called a chuck key. The chuck key and all the tools that we use on the drill, including the awl and the hammer in my classroom, sit in this little bowl that's labeled popcorn. If you're setting up a shop at home, you're going to want to have all your tools readily accessible and next to your drill as well. So to take the bit off, I'm going to remove the piece of wood. I put the chuck key in the little hole right on top. There's 4 of them, or 3 of them. I fit the keys in here, and then you turn it lefty-loosey, and you want it just loose enough that this drill bit comes out when you turn it. So I'm going to just loosen it a little bit, lefty-loosey, just until I can pull that bit out. Then I would get it, throw the broken bit away, put the new bit in, and you want that bit to go as far up into the drill as you can. It'll help that bit stay stronger and it'll help it from breaking. Then you're going to go righty-tighty to tighten it up, and then you want to make sure at the end you get it as tight as you can. So turn it till you can't turn it anymore. Make sure you put your chuck key back in the popcorn bin when you're done, and that's how you change a drill bit. So that's how you drill. I just want you to make sure that you're safe. So make sure your hair is tied back, your goggles are on, you don't have any clothes or jewelry or anything hanging down where it's going to get caught in the drill. Now that you've drilled your metal, you can start sawing it out. Have fun.